Lawrence Armstrong is an architect. He is the chairman of the international design firm Ware Malcomb. His newest book is Layered Leadership. Welcome to the show, Larry.
Oh, thanks, George. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. Tell us a little bit more about your personal lives, more about your work, and what motivated you to put pen to paper and write the book.
Sounds great. Thanks. I'm, chairman of our design firm here. I was CEO for 28 years as we built the business and sort of transitioned to chairman about 5 years ago. And so I've got a little more time in my life to do other things. I'm an artist as well. So I show in galleries all over the US and the world. And so that's exciting. And do some work in some nonprofit work at Kent State University, my alma mater, as well as Orange County United Way here, working on homelessness. And I stayed really busy. But I wrote Layered Leadership just as a way to um, kind of help people, I think, and the idea, kind of give them some examples from how we built our firm and bringing creativity to leadership, um, developing sort of this whole brain thought process. And, um, and so that's why I wrote the book. Looking forward to seeing it released actually tomorrow, March 4th.
Well, is that a nervous thing? Is that exciting? You obviously have been displaying your work for a really long time.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think I'm excited more than I'm nervous. It's been a process, this is my first book, and it was about a 2 year process, and but I'm ready to get it out there, I think. And the first time I ever showed my art publicly, it was a little nervous and a little nerve-wracking, and then you kind of get over it once you do it. And so just exciting to put it out there and see how people react.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I was literally just thinking the other day. I was thinking, I was wondering how many artists that I knew. And at some level, I think that we're all artists, at least we all were at some point. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought, well, what does it take to be a commercially successful or viable artist? And I just thought in my head, I wonder if Larry's always thought of himself as an artist, and therefore architecture is in essence commercial art.
Yeah,
You could
excellent
tell me
point.
you could tell me I'm wrong.
No, you're not. You're not at all. I've been an artist my whole life. And I think that when I was trying to figure out what to do with my life, um, I took one of those aptitude tests and it came back I should either be a sculptor or an architect. And my dad very wisely advised me that if I wanted to have a career, I should probably pursue architecture and pick up art whenever I can along the way. So I followed his advice.
And so do you think that most architects are more artistic or it needs to be engineered correctly? Just kind of walk me through that. Like what makes for a good architect?
Yeah, well, I think I sort of preach this idea of whole brain development, sort of the creative side and the analytical side of your brain. And you need both. I always say sort of architecture is the ultimate whole brain profession because you really need both. You need to understand both sides of the equation, and develop those skills over time. And some people are definitely way better at technical. However, they just work to understand the design side, and then the opposite. And so that's very natural. But as architects, we have to always sort of try to develop both sides as much as we can.
And so you were the CEO of an architecture firm and you grew it to be a very, very large architectural firm. So tell me a little bit about, I mean, I think it's really hard to grow any kind of a business, but then certainly when your human capital are these really unique whole-brained people. Does that make your job as the CEO easier or harder, somewhere in the middle?
Well, I only ever was CEO of this firm, so I'm not quite sure how it compares to building a different kind of a business. But I think that what worked for us was, first of all, just empowering our people and getting behind their career goals and ambitions and helping them to get there and reach those goals by providing opportunities as our firm grew to become leaders. So we've really developed our company into what we think of as a leadership academy. We've spent a lot of time developing techniques and systems and strategies to help our people grow as much as possible, as much as they want to in their career. And so, and using a lot of different ways to do that that might appeal to a creative mind along the way, using different inputs from business books, but also leaders in history. Leonardo da Vinci, we use a lot as a teacher. Metaphors from physics class and cartoon characters. So anything we can think of to inspire the creativity and adapt to a strategy for growth for our company. And so a lot of this is laid out in the book.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah, yeah, it is really fun. I think that's a big piece of it. You have to have some enjoyment in what you're doing, and you have to love what you're doing if you're going to be successful. So we try to, we definitely try to pursue um, inspiration, I think, as we go, as we build.
And what does layers have to do with it?
So, layers comes from, architects think in layers. We design space in layers. But I've kind of tried to apply that concept um, in a more, not so much a straightforward, but apply it to the lessons of synthesizing different input into strategy to grow the company. And so it's a it's a more of a conceptual idea that we can learn from Jack Welch at GE, but we can also learn from Leonardo, and we can learn from different kinds of businesses. We studied Home Depot versus Home Base, and the failure and the success, and what made those successful. And so, taking different kinds of input um, and creatively, I think using those to inspire people. That's kind of the idea.
Yeah, I love it. When you think about layers, is it is it a base layer, which is sort of like the need to have, and then the must haves, nice to haves kind of a thing, or do layers take many different forms and shapes?
Yeah, many different ones. I think, the baseline is that, at least for our firm, is that if we're talking about growth in our firm, we're a commercial real estate based architectural firm. We design buildings for corporate clients across America and commercial developers. And our the type of buildings we design all fall into commercial real estate, whether those be corporate headquarters, big industrial buildings, fulfillment centers, manufacturing. So that's kind of our base. We've diversified then, which added all kinds of layers. We've diversified geographically. Our clients have taken us all over North America, to all the major cities. So we've diversified geographically. We've diversified by service type. We added interior design and civil engineering and branding and building measurement to our company. And then we diversified by product type, manufacturing and high tech buildings and healthcare buildings and retail buildings. And so vast in multifamily now. And so vast array all within sort of this idea of commercial real estate. So all of those sort of integrated, synthesized layers is what makes up sort of who we are as a company and why we need to grow.
And it all works together
All
somehow.
works together. Well, we have this one team concept, very strong identity and culture as a one team. So we help each other. We're integrated the way we provide services. We, from different offices, working together and backing each other up and helping each other get new clients, have expertise within the company, produce the work, sort of all of the above.
Is that common? Is it one team concept obviously sounds to me like we're collaborating, we are working together, we're trying to be on the same page,
Yeah.
which theoretically sounds great. Is that normal for architects, or are a lot of them individual, just doing their own thing, and so it's sometimes
Yeah.
conflict to talk to others?
Yeah, there's a lot of that in our profession. So, this idea of one team isn't necessarily unique, but I think we've executed it in an excellent way because we've made it a baseline of our culture for many, many years. So, yeah.
So why do people work with your firm over others?
I think you know, opportunity, growth opportunity in their career, I think is important. The collaboration, this feeling of one team, the empowerment. We really value the input from our people, and we ask for it. We spend a lot of time on mentoring and coaching and developing people. So all those sorts of things, I think, you know, is why um, people like working here.
Yeah, it seems obvious that you'd be focused on. I love this whole idea of the whole brain person. I love the idea about the one team and bringing people together and helping to develop the individual. And obviously, when you do that, then everything's going to get better. But that sounds easy. I imagine it kind of does hard.
Yeah,
Probably.
it's not easy. It takes a lot of hard work internally, and it's not perfect. There's always, ups and downs, but I think it's just sort of a main driver of who we are. So, um, that's why we stick to it.
Certainly makes sense. In terms of when you're creating a painting, you've obviously now written this book, you are listening to client and they're telling you this is what we're trying to accomplish, and then you go back and you come up with ideas and you present them. How, what is that process as somebody who is an artist? Is that frustrating? Is it exhilarating to go back and make adjustments? I guess it depends.
Yeah, I think it's just part of the process. I mean, we're as architects, designers, we're used to the process. It's very collaborative. Obviously, you have to satisfy a lot of requirements when you're designing a building. When I'm doing a painting, it's much less so. I can do whatever I want pretty much, unless I'm doing a commission specifically for a client, which I've done quite a few times as well. But this sort of iterative process and sort of a collaboration. You collaborate with a lot of other consultants and engineers and um, you know building departments and contractors. So it's just the nature of our profession that's very, uh, like I said, collaborative, iterative, all the time.
What a perfect way to better ask my question, or to kind of sum up my question, is that I can sit down and paint whatever I want, or I can be commissioned by a client to paint something and they share sort of a vision with me.
Yes.
Um, so I think that that's a wonderful way to think about it. And in a way, I kind of think that that's what being an architect is.
Yeah, absolutely. The commissions are fun, actually. I like working with clients. Uh, they, normally it's for their home or office, and they have a vision of the size of the painting and maybe the colors they'd like to see. Um, they don't really influence the style of painting it is, but they do participate, which is, pretty cool. I like doing it. I actually really like that.
Yeah, I can see where that would be a cool process. So, in terms of finding new talent for the firm, as the leaders, I bet now that you have this process honed, you feel pretty confident that you can help or influence positively anybody that comes in. And I also bet that you want to make good decisions on who you're bringing in.
Yeah, I think that it's like any company. You want to try to find people who, first of all, fit the requirements of what you're looking for, but also, um, you know, fit the culture of your company, and want the same sort of things that the company wants. And it's not always perfect. You don't always get a perfect match, and sometimes it doesn't work out. But um, that's the idea. Is that try and find somebody that wants to come in, build their career, build their talent, is open to learning and being mentored and coached, um, and works hard and is ambitious. And so we've um, we've got some amazing people in here, and very proud of that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I certainly imagine. So going back to this idea of, well, what is it about DaVinci that you like so much?
Yeah, he's excuse me. He set such a great example. I guess I encountered Leonardo when I studied in Florence. I was very lucky to go and spend a semester when I was in college, studying in Florence, and the birth of the Renaissance happened there, and Leonardo practiced there. But for me, what's awesome about Leonardo is that he's the ultimate whole brain thinker. He was curious about everything. He was determined to build his skill set in a very broad way, learn about things he wasn't as strong at or knowledgeable about. And so you think of Leonardo as an artist, which he was obviously an amazing artist, but he was also an architect, a civil engineer, a military engineer. He was a great client business developer, and uh, kept himself in amazing shape. He took care of himself. He ate right. He worked out. All these sorts of things. And he was always trying to learn something new every day. This idea of continuous learning, up until the day he passed. He was always trying to learn something new and produce something new. And so I say all the time, I think he was the greatest genius that ever lived, and he produced incredible amount in his life and sets a great example for all of us. So that's why I use him as an example for this whole brain thinking and whole brain development.
Yeah. So, are architects, do they commonly specialize? And I guess my question is, you have varied interests. You and whole brain thinking, so that's kind of the whole that's part of the whole thing is don't pigeonhole yourself. Don't just focus on one thing. Don't stay in your lane, as I feel like a lot of people want to tell you to do these days. Maybe the best question here is what is your advice to young people just getting started?
Well, I think, yeah, exactly. Getting started, you want to learn as much as you can and work hard and find out what you're passionate about. Um, it doesn't mean you want to pigeonhole yourself. Um, I do some of my art is some multi-layered pieces with the frame sort of floating on top, and I always use those pieces as a metaphor. It's like the art in those cases, the art transcends the frame. The art spills out past the frame,
Hmm.
and we tend to sometimes want to put ourselves in a frame, or people put us in a frame. And I sort of use that as an idea that, hey, don't allow that. Think broader than that. Let the art transform the frame. And so that's what, you know, I like that. On the other hand, when you're an architect, if you're going to grow and you want to specialize to a certain degree, which is why as we grew as a company and diversified, we stayed within sort of the lane of commercial real estate, which in itself can be very broad, but we're not trying to design custom homes. We're not trying to design military bases or stadiums. That's not our gig. We design projects for commercial real estate.
And in terms of, do you encourage the people at the firm to carve out a little bit of time? What maybe came into my head was I've heard stories, I don't know if it's true or not, that at Google you can spend 10 or 20% of your time on whatever you want, kind of a thing, like side projects. Do you advocate for anything like that?
Well, we have several ways we do that. Um, First of all, we encourage people to spend time with their mentors and their coaches. We have a WMU, which is a program of different classes every couple week or two in the firm that are available to people. We also encourage nonprofit work, and so we have each office tends to support some nonprofits in their market, and we encourage people to spend time on that if they're passionate about those things. And also, we have a sort of a WM active, so we go on different events to keep people active outside the office. So lots and lots of things like that that are encouraged for participation.
Excellent. When somebody picks up a copy of Layered Leadership, what are you hoping that they'll get out of it?
I hope somewhere in there they'll find something that will inspire them and help them either in their career or build their business or their organization. I think there's a lot of ideas that where they can either use the inspirations that are in there and apply it to their own organization, or learn how to use whatever they're inspired by to do that. So it doesn't have to be the examples I give, but the idea is to help people grow their companies.
Standing. Well, Larry, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people learn more about you? How can they engage with you? And where can they get their copy of Layered Leadership?
Thanks. Probably the easiest way is it'll be up on all the internet sites tomorrow, March 4th, but my website where you can find the book, a little bit more about me, some blogs, some podcasts are up there, layeredleadershipbook.com. Lots of information on there.
Excellent. Well, if you enjoyed this as much as I did, show Larry your appreciation. Share today's show with a friend who also appreciates good ideas. Go to layeredleadershipbook.com and check out everything that Larry is working on and pick up your copy of Layered Leadership as well. Thanks again, Larry.
All right. Thanks for having me on, George. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it. Until next time, remember, do your part by doing your best.